Morning, everybody. Okay, we're going to start the Human Services Committee, and if we want to accept the minutes of February 22nd.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, I have the privilege to introduce from Pride of Ticonderoga, Nicole Justice Green. She's the executive director, and we've invited her to come and speak today for the Flushing County. Sure. Yeah, come on up and join us. And sit right up here at the.
Well, thank you very much. Also, like to thank Supervisor Wilson for extending this invitation. I'm here today. I know some of you are familiar with Pride of Ticonderoga. We've been around since 1984, and we've been serving all of Warren, Washington, and Essex counties with a myriad of different grant initiatives, including housing restoration, downtown revitalization, and community development grants. All told, we have funneled in $15.1 million into our service area. When Pride was originally created in 1984, the majority of our focus was in northern Washington County. So we've done a lot of work in Putnam, Dresden, and Whitehall over the years. But since about 2005, we've extended that work into all of Washington County. We've helped a number of residents all the way down to Kingsbury and Fort Edward and Fort Anne, primarily with home rehabilitations. And so I did want to just give you a brief overview of that work that Pride has done. You can see in the handout that I've given you how Pride was created in 1984. We're a rural preservation company, and a rural preservation company is a 501c3 nonprofit, and there's essentially over 50 RPCs throughout New York State serving different areas. And in those areas, they do very similar work to what we're doing, because New York State recognizes that our homes are older, our downtown buildings are older, and they're incredibly costly to maintain. They're riddled with environmental hazards, lead paste, paint, asbestos. And so in order to really preserve the unique identity of our communities, this state has reinvested lots of public money into these grants so that instead of business owners building outside of our historic downtowns, they're incentivized to come back into our historic downtowns and occupy those downtown buildings, and that homeowners are able to rehab these older homes, which are very affordable for them. A lot of new build homes are vastly out of the price range for new first-time home buyers. And so they're left with purchasing homes that are much older, and therefore those rehabilitation costs balloon. And on average in Washington County, the age of our homes is over 60 years. And that's the same for Warren County. In Essex County, the average age of homes are over 70 years old. And so this work has been incredibly important since 1984. We've continued that work. Pride has a number of programs that we're currently administering. And so I'm just going to break those down real quick for everybody. We have a home program. Home is HUD money. It's from the federal government that's distributed equally amongst each state. And so Pride was recently awarded a home grant in 2020, as well as 2022, we were re-awarded. That is funding that is available for all Washington County residents, Essex County residents, and Warren County residents. And these are major home rehabilitations, anywhere from $25,000 to up to $65,000. There's a huge impetus on these grants to do lead paint remediation for young families, but it can cover roof replacements, foundation work, electrical updates, really anything that you could think of that's going to make a home code compliant. We also have a Restore grant, and a Restore grant is specifically for the elderly over 60. This is a grant from New York State. And the intent and heart of this grant was to enable the elderly to age in place and not due to an emergency repair, which, you know, on a fixed income at that age is very difficult to address. But also if an elderly resident no longer can get into their home and they need ADA modifications, grab bars, ramps, this grant will do emergency repairs as well as that. We have a small Neighbors Helping Neighbors Fund, which $1,500 for an emergency repair for multiple residents. This is a fund that Pride directly fundraises for. We don't receive state or federal support. And then lastly, for our home grants, home rehabilitation grants, the CDBG. And this is really at the heart of what I was hoping to speak to this committee about today. Pride was recently awarded a subrecipient agreement with Essex County for a CDBG grant. CDBG stands for Community Development Block Grant. And again, it's very similar to home, where that money is equitably distributed between all 50 states in the United States. And each county and municipality is able to apply for this funding. It's out there, it's not going anywhere. And our home grants and our restore grants that Pride administers is split between 3 counties. CDBG is municipally explicit. So if we were able to secure funding for just Washington County with the CDBG grant, we would be able to couple our home and restore funding and be able to do more work just for Washington County residents. I had noticed that in 1997, we received a CDBG grant for Dresden, and we were able to do 42 home rehabilitations in Dresden. So we have, since Pride has continued to expand our efforts throughout Washington County, we have had to start wait lists. We've had to deny applicants who need this help because of a lack of funding. And there is funding out there. And so my hope and intent was to continue to speak with all of you all, either on a town level or a county level, to seek some of this funding that's out there and available for Washington County residents, so that we aren't having to have long wait lists in Washington County. We also do a number of New York Main Street grants. And so that is an economic development grant. I know this town of Greenwich is currently working with one of my colleagues, Sharon Reynolds, who used to be the executive director of Pride, on a New York Main Street project. Pride also led the application effort for the town of Ticonderoga, and we recently secured $2 million for the DRI, which is a massive investment in that downtown district. But that grant also includes rehabilitations for the apartments above these downtown buildings. So that's why New York Main Street is such a unique grant. Not only is it economic development, but it's affordable housing, because you're allowed to get money to rehab rental housing with that grant. We have a number of grants that we've done for history and historic preservation and recreation, including the Lachute Riverwalk Trail. But again, that is really not at the heart and intent of why I'm here today, though I'm more than happy to talk about some of the wonderful projects that we've done. Pride doesn't just focus on housing, because if we don't have viable and thriving economies, if we rehab housing for people, they have nowhere to work. So we work with the economy, we work with housing, and then we work with the community and the historic preservation, so that these communities have multiple things to offer to the resident. So with that being said, I've included a number of items here for you supervisors to look at. I can make those available as well via email to your clerk, and Pride of Ticonderoga.org has all this information available, as well as all online applications if you have any residents that you know of who are in need currently and would like to apply for our programs. If you have any questions, I would be happy to answer those.
Thoughts or questions?
So Nicole, so what you need really from us is enforcement resolution allowing you to apply on behalf of the residents of Washington County. Is that correct?
Yes.
No letter of support or resolution.
Was county gonna have official involvement in this project, or are we just saying we think it's a great idea?
The county would have to have official involvement in the project, and it would have to be collaborative. There would be a subrecipient agreement. It's different than a letter of support, which thank you all very much, because you've given Pride a letter of support every single year that we've requested one for these other grant applications.
You know, the cash flow,
Yes.
We worked with Tide, right,
and whose
many
contract?
years ago.
Right, I know that, and that's why I'm asking all these questions, because a lot of these guys haven't.
Yep.
So, who hires the contractors? Who hires, is that
Pride.
right? Okay, that's not us, because in past years, it's been us. And we've been doing business with all kinds of contractors and making guarantees to the feds that these repairs are done in a proper and timely fashion. We obviously don't want to get into the business of certifying contractors. So, again, it's a great program, but that was in the details, and as long as you're aware of what you're getting into. So basically, we're just passing through.
Yes.
It is just a pass through. I provide double copies of all of our applications, all of our
Yeah.
certifications, so when CDBG, whoever our potential grant monitor would be, would have copies of all of that for the county. It is collaborative, but Pride is running the program, the impetus is
You
on
probably
Pride.
figured out I'm the lawyer.
I know,
So,
but I appreciate that.
right.
We
So,
will be working together on the
we will.
subrecipient
We will.
agreement.
so I kind of want to know what I'm getting into.
Yeah.
But the way the program worked in the early years was, it was basically a county program. And we're out there hiring contractors and signing contracts with various contractors. And I think that was kind of a squishy area for us to be in, because we're saying, yes, Mrs. Smith's windows were placed appropriately, and if Mrs. Smith wasn't happy, she'd come with us, and I'm not sure we want to be any window replacement business. Yeah.
And the county could still apply and administer this themselves.
We could, but we have our friends from Pride.
Exactly. And so it's just.
It's a very fun meeting for Tim Black's law.
Yes.
We don't like to be squishy, we like to be clear and concise.
Brian, did you have a question?
Yeah, so Nicole, you talked about different programs, not just the one.
Yeah.
Because the one here, you have to be the owner of the property, tax up to date and whatever. Other program you talked about were rental properties. So it's kind of convoluted in my mind as to which we're doing, not doing, or are we doing all the above? I
I know, I apologize. I wanted to give you all it's been a while since Pride has really spoken to, I mean, for one, there's been COVID, but really come to the county I wanted to give everybody a refresher of the programs we currently have.
Yeah, it's wild.
So see,
I've been home for both here.
yes, and Homefront has capitulated, so they
Yeah.
no longer exist. So that has also been another reason why we have gotten so many additional applicants from Washington County, especially Southern Washington County, to Pride this past year. CDBG is specifically home rehabilitations, home buyer down payment programs. The grant I'm interested in partnering with the county to apply for would be home rehabilitations, but I'm not opposed to continuing this relationship and pursuing a home buyer program, which would be assistance with down payment, closing cost, and rehabilitations for first-time home buyers. Those are the two main CDBG subrecipient grants that program does. For rental housing repairs and rehabilitation, the only program Pride currently does for that is New York Main Street. And that is not a county grant, that is a municipally specific grant. So if Daryl wanted me to apply for New York Main Street for Putnam, I would partner with his town board to pursue an application. Pride would actually be the recipient, but we would need to get the blessing of each municipality for that. And it's very program specific because you only apply for the businesses in your downtown that want that money and that are interested in it. They have to provide a small owner match of about 10 to 30%. And if they have apartments above, they can ask for an additional $25,000 per unit to rehab those units. If they don't have apartments, they don't have to go for that. They can just get it for the commercial space. So it's a very dynamic grant. You can also do an anchor grant for just one building up to $500,000, which we're currently doing in Ticonderoga to rehab a 200-year-old restaurant and restore it to a useful life. We're about to wrap that project up. There are other rental property grants for repairs out there, but they're tricky, and that's probably a separate conversation. I don't know of a county-wide grant that exists for rental property rehabilitations.
It was just the fact they were convoluted. I want to make sure I knew what we were in.
Sam?
So these are strictly for living quarters?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I know you said you.
Well, and depending, the CDBG grant is specifically for living quarters or home buyer assistance. New York Main Street can be for commercial properties.
So where do rental properties fall in the commercial?
No, well, in a way, I would say, you could say, in a way, it's a commercial property. The state doesn't like to fund rental properties because it's the onus of the landlord to be just and do their due diligence for their not their constituents, but for their tenants and their property. But with New York Main Street, because it's attached to the downtown and there's a vested interest in making the downtown's beautiful, code compliant and retaining their historic, basically, character, they will add on that rental property rehabilitation grant for those commercial businesses.
The reason I ask that is because as you're aware, if you drive up back north and Route 4, get 40, and then you're gonna get Whitehall, then you'll see that many of those homes need fixing up in a worse way. And I wasn't sure if it fell in there. That's number one. Number two, those are villages that they fall into. So that would have to be dealt with by a village rather than towns, correct?
A town could apply for multiple villages, a village could apply, a hamlet could apply for this grant. It's wherever the project is going to be located and whatever that district is going to be that we're going to apply for funding.
Okay, so I guess my question is, can a town apply for something that's good, that can be located in the village? Because if we go up those, we can.
Yep.
Okay, it doesn't have to be in a municipality.
There should be probably an MOU and an understanding between the town and the village that you're going to be applying for this funding. And
Okay,
but ultimately that grant, a New York Main Street grant, a town generally can apply and be awarded that. They need a nonprofit sponsor to administer
Gotcha.
that grant.
okay,
So, and then we are primarily working with the business owner that's receiving that funding or the multiple business owners who are going to receive
so
that
if it's
funding.
an apartment house, that would be with the landlord.
That would be the landlord. And if there's just an apartment building in the walkable downtown and there's no commercial aspect to that building, it's only apartments, then yes, they can get that funding just for the apartments because they're in that walkable district. And that's the same for New York Forward and DRI. They're very similar, just a lot more money.
Thank you, that clarifies it for me.
Welcome.
Miss, just a quick question, because I've actually come across several veterans who are both looking to, make repairs to their homes or get down payments for their homes. Does the application process happen individually, or do they go through the town?
For CDBG,
I would say for home rehabilitation, one question, and then for down payment for a home for first-time buyers.
so if Pride had those grants currently for Washington County, they would apply through Pride and Pride would income certify them. And we would then on a first come first served basis assist them.
What's the income threshold?
It could generally for these grants, it's 80% AMI. And so for Washington County for 2023, that number hovers a little under $50,000 for one person. And I will say that I do not like to give out AMI information because I feel like it discourages people from applying. It goes up with each member of your household. There's also additional reductions based on being a veteran, being disabled, being elderly. So it can be a very fluid number, but that's the general cutoff for that. For home buyer grants, they can go up to 120% AMI. So there's a larger leeway. We currently do not have a home buyer grant. So I do want to clarify that. This would be something we could pursue in the future with the county. We do have a home grant currently through Pride that if a veteran needed home rehabilitation or repairs, they're more than welcome to go to our website or call our office.
Okay, all right, and what's the website again? I'm sorry.
It's prideofticonderoga.org.
Here you go. I'm pretty sure I can get more copies.
Thank you very much.
But I just have one more question there.
Yes, sir.
On the veterans, does it take their VA disability, that they're qualified for VA disability, or does it have to be through Social Security disability?
So again, that's you're getting in the weeds a little bit there, the income qualifying them. They're gonna take whatever their monthly income is. So if they get Social Security and VA, they're gonna count both of that. They generally look at their tax return and what their actual adjusted taxable income for the year is. I will say I have very rarely, in my time at Pride, I have only for one applicant denied them based on their income. most of the people in our area who are seeking this help qualify for this help. 95%, I would say.
And the key document, I think, is the tax filing. That's the key document. Because some of that is not tax.
Exactly. And again, this program is intended to help people who are low to moderate income. And so when we do ask for a lot of that information, it's to make sure that these people aren't independently wealthy. We don't really care too much about retirement or some assets. But again, we want to make sure that people who really can afford these repairs on their own are getting that help, and it's not going to people who could afford these repairs on their own.
Okay. So, and the reason I'm saying that is because there are friends here with us, and with Jeremy as well. So I just would hate to mislead them, okay, it's 100% disabled, they get a certain amount of money from the VA. To say they meet the qualification for that, because they could be disabled on the VA side and still working and have a substantial income that's going to put them above the threshold.
And so in that instance, I wouldn't provide them guidance because Pride is the experts at income qualifying them for each of our individual programs. My encouragement to them would be, come speak to us. We're very personable. We know these programs in and out, and we'll be able to help walk them through that process. So each of these programs are a little bit different to qualify for. So I don't want to just throw out there, you know, if you meet X, Y, and Z, then you're going to qualify, because I want to manage those expectations. But generally, if they're a veteran, if they're disabled and they can't repair their home, they're going to need this help. And that's what these programs are for. And we can probably help them.
Laura?
So I just wanted to give a little bit of a 30,000 foot view here. As you all know, with the demise of Homefront as an entity had the capacity to, on behalf of the county, apply for funding from home, from CDBG. There's a veterans repair, disabilities repair, et cetera. So with Homefront gone, there are actually two entities that are providing that service. One of them is Pride of Ty, and the other is Rebuild Saratoga. The county has the capacity to do one of a couple of things. We could apply as the county for either a CDBG or a home grant, and then designate a subrecipient such as Pride of Ty. But to Roger's point earlier, the legal reason of that is if the county is the applicant, and we designate a subrecipient, we then have an agreement with the subrecipient that says you've got to be good boys and girls and follow all of the laws, but the county is still on the hook. Because the designated subrecipient, we have agreement that says, yeah, you're supposed to do it, but we as the applicant are still on the hook. The other way to do it would be for Pride of Ty to be the applicant and have Washington County within a larger service area. Now that it would be a CDBG type thing. With New York Main Street, that does not work. For New York Main Street, you have to have a contiguous block, or as Nicole mentioned, an anchor institution of businesses that are being assisted. So New York Main Street really only works for an individual community to apply for, because you couldn't have, say, a group of buildings in Whitehall and a group of buildings in Fort Anne as a single New York Main Street application. But again, Pride of Ty could work with any of those communities to help sponsor, help develop, and help manage. So, I personally would like to encourage as much assistance to our residents as possible. And again, one way to do that is to work with an entity like Pride of Ty, because they have the capacity to manage the programs, which we as a county do not. So it would not be feasible for the county to apply for and manage one of these grants. We could apply for and designate subrecipient.
And home is one that we already have, and we apply for almost every year. So, I mean, Washington County is already receiving a third of the home grant services through Pride of Ticonderoga. We also share that with Warren County and Essex County. So, but yes, specifically for CDBG, you're right, we would need a subrecipient agreement, and that's what we're currently doing with Essex County. And so we doubled our funding from being able to devote about $100,000 of home to Essex County because it's split 3 ways. So $300,000, 100 for Essex, 100 for Warren, 100 for Washington, to over $500,000 because we got a Essex County specific CDBG grant. So we're just pooling more funding and able to help more homes. And so we're always going to generally have that tri-county funding. And so we'll be able to leverage that if we get Washington County specific funding so we can just serve more people. Or if the rehabilitation ends up being over $65,000, we don't have to cut their rehab short because we can't afford it. We have another pool of funding to leverage so we can do a full and complete rehabilitation.
So Roger, you're advocating for the least amount of administrative work for the county.
No, I don't, it's not the administrative work, it's it's the liability that we assume when we're the director. Yeah, I get paid the same, no matter how many pieces of paper I shove on, so is that what we're doing? It's the individually, like, we're inspecting the work and things like that and making sure that it's done, and I'm not sure we want to be in that granular level of stuff.
So how do we do that, Laura? How do we do that most efficient?
Subrecipient agreement.
Right.
But I would also suggest that if we engage in a subrecipient agreement, we have to have capacity to monitor the subrecipient, i.e. communicating back and forth with Pride of Tie so that we feel comfortable that Pride of Tie is acting in a manner that we would want them to act and following regulations, et cetera. Which, I mean, I have no doubt that they would do, but it is still our responsibility to have oversight of the entity that has oversight of the program.
Oh, okay. What would you view as being an appropriate level of oversight? Quarterly update, semi-annual update? I'm asking, I don't know.
Well, the CDBG programs they're 2 years of my.
They end up being, once everything's set up, I would say closer to 18 months usually.
Okay.
I mean, it was a long window for applying, then a long window for your your initial environmental review. And so really boots in the ground. We have about 18 months.
So I would then suggest maybe having a quarterly committee report back to this committee.
So for Essex County, I attend monthly housing task force meeting. I mean, I advise on a number of issues, not just the current CDBG grant. I'm also administering the land bank there. And so we talk a lot about affordable housing as well. But yes, I give a quick report. I also work really closely with the county manager because they have to sign off on a number of documents. I CC the county clerk on all of all the documents the county essentially is going to need to have on file for what's OCR, who administers the HUD money. Then we also have a specific grant. They're called different, with each program it's different, but basically a grant monitor to assist us from OCR CDBG. My monitor for Essex County is Nina Krupski, but she CCs and includes the county on any and all disbursements and issues. And so there's really kind of a triangulation, but other than that, the microscopic work, it's all us. So, and that's all outlined in our subrecipient agreement as well.
In terms of the subrecipient, you want to clone Essex or you want to, and then do a quarterly update to the committee? I don't know. I'm asking.
Or is it something that would be involved, an update of the planning committee, every other month or something?
Well, so the subrecipient agreement is a document with language that is dictated by OCR. So you want to approve, first of all, there's procurement issue. Have to look at that, approve engaging in a subrecipient agreement with Pride of Tie, and then create as part of the agreement some sort of mechanism that says there's going to be a monthly report, a quarterly report, or whatever you want to say.
And OCR provides a boilerplate subrecipient agreement. Ours was almost exactly the same. I mean, the numbers change, the type of program changes a little bit. I'm sure your attorney would be very well versed in modifying that document at the end. The next step
I
would
like
be.
her already.
The next step would be really a consensus from all supervisors that they want me to prepare an application on behalf of the county for rehabilitation grant going into this next period. The grants are generally due at the end of July. I would need also a resolution from the Board of Supervisors saying, yes, we want you to apply for this amount of money for this sort of work, rehab, home buyer, I mean, whatever, specific CDBG. And then we really sit back and we wait. I don't need a subrecipient agreement until we get awarded. Then if we get awarded, that point, the OCR will be very involved in asking for that subrecipient agreement. And we would really not begin administration until January of 2024.
Procedurally here, does this have to go to the full board, I take it?
It could send, yeah, I think it should.
No resolution.
No application.
I also think that goes initially through the planning committee, because Morris is the people involved. So how did it end up here? How did, that's my question. Are we doing this the right way? To just spend in the planning committee instead of the human services?
No, I wasn't quite sure, to be honest with you, when I got involved, where it should go, so. You know, we threw it here, go ahead.
So can I just say the planning committee and the planning department isn't writing the application?
No.
Right, so basically what would happen is Pride of Tide would write a Washington County application for us. So we would then have to have a resolution to apply and accept. And then once that funding is awarded, then you move forward with procurement process and subrecipient agreements, because OCR will require a procurement process.
They don't require procurement for subrecipient agreement. They only require procurement for contractors. and
That's true.
consultants.
If we, yeah,
We could request to waive that.
yeah, it's our county.
Oh, it's your county's requirement. I wanted to
Yeah.
put your mind at ease that you don't have to go through.
In the past, though, I think all our CV stuff has gone through other committee, am I right or wrong?
Well,
I'm just trying to make sure we don't lose votes just from not doing it the right way.
Well, I don't think there's any harm in the application. Just
And I think
If
that,
if it's awarded, maybe then consider bringing. it.
Wow, yeah,
But I don't think the application is any harm.
and I think that how it ended up in human services is housing is a great need. I mean, the having the questions from the vets and looking at,
So some of the right people are in the room, right?
and the people that we need to hear this are in the room. And that's why,
that's
Yeah, the
important,
housing
but the people that
aspect.
are voting on it need to be in the room too, and that's where I'm a little concerned, that's all.
So you
Yeah.
can always do a motion to move it to that committee.
right, exactly.
Well, and I think you're right, I think when it comes back around, it has to go to planning.
If there's an award, then it would go through planning and finance. and all that.
That's what I'm thinking.
So,
So a resolution to apply for, and we can do here, correct? So,
You know, harm in
I think I do need a full board
Yeah.
resolution
Correct.
before, okay, all right, yes.
and we're
Well, that's
going
my-
this committee to the.
That's my concern with coming from here to the full board, does it get voted down because they don't figure it came from the right? That's like, that's all. I have no idea where those.
There's an awful lot of these things that's overlap between.
Yes.
Committee structure, and I don't think that's.
We've heard all the arguments in the past,
Yeah, if we can just.
and I know they're gonna.
My goal was just to give everybody another tool in their kit bag. And to work on some of the issues that we're seeing. in the county.
If you need a full board resolution for even the application, just come back through finance, where you have the most attendance anyway.
if we had a motion to vote and take it to finance, then they would at least hear about it, discuss it there.
And that might,
That might be
Make
important.
so that-
I think that would solve that.
if you need a full board resolution anyway, why, just run through finance and then you have the most attendance. See, Brian wanted to.
Could the chair of finance take the?
Sure can.
Yeah, Mr. O'Brien. Well, there you go. Where is he? There he is. Okay.
I'm on.
Well, I'd like, to get the most more discussion, I would like to make that motion to, put together a resolution for an application for the community development block grant. Allowing the project on the road to apply. And then, to send that to finance committee on its way, hopefully to the full board. Okay.
And I have one question in that discussion, Dave or Brian. Would you, as its chair for the finance, would you like Nicole to come back and review this again? Or are
It
you-
might be a good idea when there's more people there.
Once again, he won't be here.
No, but
You're very
but I
generous with me.
well, at least I've heard it, and I think it's a good thing to have it. Yeah.
Nicole says she's happy to come back. So. And so, any other discussion or any other questions?
After a couple meetings. you'll understand.
Is there a local
I'm so
match on
sorry.
the grant?
No, not.
Even better.
Your cat.
This is L, all that or something.
Some with your cat.
And this is.
Yeah.
this is our county
Does that mean it's not probably get interest on
Negative.
it?
Miss, I just have one more question. How difficult is the application?
It's pretty difficult.
Okay.
I'll be very honest with you.
I know that, sometimes veterans have a difficult time dealing with the bureaucracy.
No, I'm so very sorry. The CDBG grant that I'm applying for is a very difficult
Yeah.
grant.
Okay.
The application
The user application.
is very user friendly
Okay.
and we commonly sit down with our applicants and help walk them through it individually or go to their homes. We're very
Okay.
accommodating.
So if they fill out something online, they don't have to fear rejection right away because they didn't cross their T's or dot their I's.
No.
Okay, so you'll be in contact with them, or, because I'd be happy to assist, but I want to make sure that some veterans would get discouraged by a process that's too arduous for them, what they would say is above their pay. So I want to, if.
I would
it's-
say that being in the military, this would be pretty a pretty straightforward application. But with that being said, if they at any point feel overwhelmed or uncomfortable, just call our office.
Okay.
We could literally walk them through it and fill it out for them over the phone within means. I mean, we do need their consent to do so, but the heart of what we do is that we care very deeply for this community and we want nobody to not apply or we certainly would never reject somebody because they're struggling to fill out their application. And so while we do a lot of housing grants and we do a lot of community work, we are we're people
Yes.
essentially.
Yep.
And we work face to face with these people. We sit with them in their homes. We watch them cry. We are with them and holding their hands when they're unhoused and they don't know where to go. I mean, that's really the daily work of what these grants enable us to do is to help them. So of course, please don't let them be stressed about an online application. We can mail them one, we can do it over the phone. We can work out a time to come to them or they can come to the office.
Okay, and I would just hope that, because I'm gonna email you and give you my point of contact, that way you can utilize me as well, so to help the veterans, whatever they need for the process, so.
Sure,
Okay.
absolutely.
Cool.
Thank you so much.
Of course,
What was your name?
Jeremy Dewar,
And what organization are you in?
I'm the peer-to-peer coordinator for Washington. So,
Okay.
so I deal with the veterans right on the ground, so.
Okay. We, on Veterans Day, actually, we were able to help a veteran in Washington County with an emergency furnace repair. And we just recently went back and replaced their electric in their home. So I think we've actually connected with somebody in your organization before.
Okay, excellent, all right, perfect, looking forward to working.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Okay, we have a motion on the table. We have a second. We have discussion. All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, thank you. Thank you. Excellent. Thank you very much. Yeah. Okay, now we're going to. Well,
You need those hands yet?
What's that?
You need those hands yet?
Man, I've enough phone
You know,
calls about it.
it's okay.
Yeah.
And then you should welcome back.
Just go through resolution last.
Good morning, everybody. Won't take up too much time. The first thing I wanted to pass is have a couple of quick things. The first thing is I wanted to introduce the newest employee in our office, our newest veteran service officer. Her name is Megan Graham, U.S. Navy veteran. So she started just last week and has hit the ground running. So she also has a lot of familiarity both with the office and the Adirondack peer-to-peer program. Because Jeremy actually hired her first and I stole her. Just wanted to introduce her so everybody could put a face to the name, and then I'll turn it over to Jeremy so he can give us some updates on the Adirondack peer-to-peer program.
Jordan?
Morning, everyone. All right, so lots of good stuff going on. Again, it's the house-to-house fighting. The collaboration with the Washington County Connects has gone quite well thus far. Hopefully you've had an opportunity to read the articles that are being published monthly. Again, they've been gracious enough to give us up to 2 pages describing the program and events upcoming. We're expanding the scope of what we're doing. We've included a monthly veterans breakfast at the Argyle Auction House. That's going to be on, let me just check my dates here. It's gonna be the first Wednesday of every month. So again, I'm going to be sending out these emails to our VSOs and other organizations throughout the community to make sure that our veterans know this. We're going to also be doing our monthly bowling event at the Fort Edward Lanes and Simulated Golf. We're going to be doing that. I believe it's the 3rd Thursday of every month. We've been able to secure employment for some veterans who were struggling with both mental health and other physical impairments. So I've created some connections and some working relationships with area businesses that are very willing to work and help our veterans get employed. We know that's a big first step for many of our veterans and, with their mental health and the mission itself. And again, I'm still on the ground out there. Pretty much every day I come across a new veteran reference. So I appreciate all of the work that the folks throughout the county are doing to help direct me towards where I need to go. We have a coffee day at Greenwich tomorrow morning from 6 to 11. That kind of came on the radar real quick. Haven't been ignoring Washington County, but we've had the filmmaker come into town. He's a French filmmaker. He'll be in next week on Monday and Tuesday. And if you know of any veterans that are willing to give an interview, provide an interview to this guy, it's awesome. He heard me speak at the state legislature a couple months ago, and he really is intrigued by the work we do, and he wants to speak with veterans and hear their stories. So this is not political. It's very cool because he's a foreign nationality. When he asks the questions, there's no angle, and he allows the veterans to really explain their perspective. We've had a great opportunity to speak to 2 Vietnam veterans, an Iraq War veteran, actually 2 Iraq War veterans. We've got an Afghanistan veteran. We also have some Cold War veterans. We also have coming up too, we have our female veterans dinner. That's the first Wednesday of every month in the evening over at Beans Country Store. So we've got all sorts of good stuff on the horizon. Please keep us posted. If you happen to see a veteran in need, I'm very excited about that program because I've actually come across several veterans who needed some home repairs and, did as much research as I could. I'm building my staff, but, can't keep coaching them. So, that's right. Semper Fi. No, it's all good. No, Megan's awesome. She's going to be a great employee for you folks. So, very happy that she's going to get promoted. So if there's anything you folks need from me, please let me know and keep me in mind. If anybody needs any flyers, I brought some extras. Anyone?
Just one question.
Yes.
Do you actually look for veterans in the building trades to actually do work for other veterans?
Wait, say it again. I'm
Do
sorry.
you look for veterans in the building trades to do work for other veterans?
Well, actually, our priorities, and this has been my mission, since the mission of the program is help veterans, I prioritize veteran-owned businesses first. So many of the agencies that we use thus far have been veteran-owned businesses, because even, so say we host an event at Slickfit, right? Even if nobody shows up, we've still helped the vet. Right, so in my mind, it's accomplishing the mission right off the bat. Then, if I can't find a veteran-owned business that fits our needs for the program, then I go to a very veteran-friendly business. And, that sounds like a very relative term, but, those of us within the area know which businesses are really pro-veteran and really do their best to reach out and host veterans events. So that's kind of our priority. And then after that, we just go where we go. So, so that's the initiative. All sorts of good stuff going on. Participation in our events has increased dramatically. And I've also added 2 more advisory board members to our crew. One from Washington County, one from Warren County. We'll be meeting next week, as a matter of fact. So lots of good stuff going on. I did. Yep. Yes, I'm going to be reaching out.
Any other questions for Jeremy? Thank you for all your hard work.
It's good stuff. Yes, it is. All right, and please, feel free to contact me if there's a veteran in need somewhere. Sometimes they're a bit reluctant to ask for help. Sometimes it's as simple as just going out to lunch with them and seeing where they're at and helping them where they get to where they want to go. So please use me if you need me. All right. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So,
Yes.
this is probably not exactly the right forum, but I think, I want to point out that, our deputy now, the best on next parent was featured on Channel 13 as the veteran of the week. This week, he appeared on there 2 or 3 times. So.
Well, the gentleman,
Played him on the way by.
Yeah. The gentleman that's doing the film, he's trying to pitch the documentary to Netflix, to HBO. He's intrigued by our Adirondack region veterans. And so he's coming up April, but he's also coming back in May and June. So we can only conduct about 3 interviews per day. So simply because there's a lot of equipment that he's carrying along with him. It's independently financed, and he's quite thorough. He lets the veteran tell their story. And it's been wildly successful so far. I think he expected to get it done in one day. And he's like, there's no way I can do that. I'm going to be here for the next few months. So, so if you come across a veteran that wants to speak with this gentleman, his name's Patrick. He is awesome. He'll be here Monday and Tuesday. You can't meet, because he really wants to conduct the interviews in your home. I know that's a little bit of a strange situation for some folks. So we'll gladly do the interview somewhere else at the college, whatever makes the veteran feel comfortable. But I think it's quite helpful to allow the veteran to tell their story. And it gives a better general idea, because I think he went in thinking that most of the veterans are all the same. And he's finding that, as varied as just any cohort is, so too is the veteran population. And he's just blown away by it, and he's very interested in getting the stories out there. So please, if anybody's interested, let me know.
Thank you.
Right, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Happy day, everybody.
Thank you too.
Morning, everyone. First thing I have, every year we receive a child passenger safety grant. So that's up for renewal. So we're just looking for permission to apply for that grant. It goes on every year. It's usually around 15,000.
Yes, first and second, any discussion? Okay, and all in favor? Aye. Thank you. Thank you.
And then the second thing, the day after our committee last month, we received notice from the New York State Department of Health that we were going to be awarded a Strengthening U.S. Public Health Infrastructure Workforce and Data Systems Award. It's $566,939. And it goes over a 5-year period. Actually, it started in December of 2022, and it's going to go through 2027. We don't have the formal paperwork on that at this point. I did have to respond by March 10th
in a letter format to the state, answering some questions. And this is a statewide, every county is receiving this money within their public health programs. So one of their questions was whether we wanted to receive that in a lump sum or annually. So a few of us did meet on that. And we had responded in a lump sum to that. That obviously can be changed because we don't have the formal paperwork on that yet, but I did need to respond to them by March 10th on that. And they wanted, there's a list of allowable costs in there. One of them being to improve our workspace, which works out perfectly for us with our move. So we did put in there that we would hope to spend some of the funds on updated furniture and equipment as needed. It also does cover personnel, additional personnel for our office to build our work staff or to build our staff. That we're still looking into right now, as far as, and that would be something I would probably bring during the budget process, depending on where we're at with our staffing. The fellowship program is going to be ending in June of 2024. So we were considering maybe extending those positions with this funding. That is something that they would allow us to do. So that is still kind of in the discussion process. We have not submitted an official budget or anything to them. We haven't received that paperwork. But I guess I did want to request permission to accept that funding, and that we would accept it in a lump sum.
Motion. So I have a question. Is there any match?
No.
And the second question, how did you convince Al to do the lump sum?
Well,
I'm running interest these days. It's more attractive. And 5%. And 5% now, so we better get it going.
Wasn't it hard to?
Have my attention.
I'll move it.
Sorry, you moved it.
Sorry.
Okay. So I do have a question. It sounds to me like to summarize this, it's things we were gonna do anyway.
correct. I mean, even if we weren't moving, we would be looking for updated furniture.
So I mean, that's the good news.
And
It's not like we're reaching, these are things we needed to do.
The furniture purchase is, this is great for that. That will certainly help.
Right, these are the things that we
Yeah.
needed to do. Almost like Corral Herring, as much as we hated it when the Corral Herring came, it made all the moves that we were gonna have to make anyway with the same council.
And it was interesting in the meeting because what came up was, I mean, they want to shore up public health and retain people. So here with the fellowship, we have this wonderful group of people that are working in the fellowship. Hopefully, that leads right into retention.
If you get them a good chair.
Right.
No.
A space.
be careful on the chairs that we pick out for sale.
You might have one that wants a day and a half chair. You gotta be careful.
I'm gonna vote on milking.
And so if Tina's ready, are you ready to allow us?
Mhm.
Yeah, you're already going to keep going.
No, I'm good.
Yeah.
Are you ready to get a budget at this point too, or not?
We haven't received that paperwork yet from HR. It's HRI, Health Research, that we're going to be receiving that's going to be the pass through from the state. And this is as far as we've gotten so far. They have not issued us anything else to fill out at this point for a formal budget.
And if we get it before finance, maybe we want to entertain getting that part of it done too, so that we're not holding Tina back.
Yeah, is this federal money coming to the state or is this just?
Yes.
Usually federal money for HRI.
Yeah.
Don't bet on that.
Stop you.
Yeah, listen, you didn't touch on it, you talked about the data system.
Yes.
Something that has to be compatible with what the state has, because you, state system kind of like BSS and everything.
Right, and we did talk about that as well at the meeting that we had. It does cover to upgrade our software systems. And even would cover like to upgrade the Wi-Fi in the building, things like that. It's a pretty broad covered
Is it fit?
grant.
And I have to commend Tina because literally it was, I think you found out on the 3rd and had be some,
On the
by the 10th. And it was like, okay, Melissa, called us all together. So
Great.
act fast, that's a good thing. We've got it, the motion on the table. It says the correct thing that you need, right? Including the budget and taking it to finance.
We left that door open.
Have her open.
That's what you meant, right? With your motions?
Okay. And is there any other discussion? Okay, all in favor? Thank you.
So I did want to just give a staffing update, and I do have one staffing request. Our office manager is going to be retiring in September. It's a crucial position within our agency. She really does handle all of the vaccine coming in, the vaccine inventory, does a lot of our annual reports. So we would like to bring on somebody as a temporary position, starting in July to cross-train with her. We do have money within our budget. I did speak with Danielle at Personnel about it. So I'm just looking for permission to add that temporary position to our staffing pattern to cover that cross-training.
Move to personnel.
Second.
Okay. Any other questions? All in favor?
And then we were able to hire a health educator, and it was actually one of our fellows. It's great. That was the purpose of the program. So she is actually just finishing out her requirements under the fellowship program, and she'll be starting as a full-time employee with us at the end of May. She'll be going into that health educator position. So it's very exciting. We were, yeah.
I know, that's what we thought. We'll keep the fellowship program going.
We were also able to hire a registered nurse, which is huge for us. We've had that position open for over a year. So she started with us back on March 22nd. So she's in her training, going through her training and stuff now. So she was formerly being a nurse at the Hudson Falls School. So yeah, so we're very excited about that. And then we talked about the infrastructure funding that we're going to be getting, and I'll bring that back once we have a better idea. We've had a lot of changes within our department, so I kind of want to just see where we're at with all the different requirements that we have before we ask for any more positions at this point. Let's see. Moving on to the next item, the Professional Advisory Committee. I had brought that, I believe it was last month, with a list of names that we would like to be on that committee. Kathy Jo McIntyre, unfortunately, is able to do that at this point. So I would like to request to replace her with Julie Baker. We do need a representative from the community to be on that committee. So Julie Baker is a resident of Hudson Falls. So we were I'm looking for permission to put her on the committee versus Kathy McIntyre.
Any discussion? All in favor? Okay.
And I do have a couple requests for overnight stays. The New York State Public Health Partnership Conference is in White Plains this year. It's from April 26th to April 28th, so it would be a 2-night stay. I would like to request for our Director of Patient Services to attend that. It's Eliza Arlen. And the cost of that would be $581, but it's 100% covered under our Article 6 state aid.
Move it. Second.
Any questions? All in favor?
The second overnight stay would be for 2 of our employees to attend. NYSHO is putting on a harm reduction symposium in Syracuse. It's from June 14th to 15th, so it'll just be 1 night, and NYSHO's paying for all of that. The only thing that would be the county expense would be the tolls and the gas for the car, things like that. So we're just looking for the permission.
Okay. Any questions? All in favor?
And then I do have quite a few things under miscellaneous. I ran out of room on the agenda. Sorry.
The one thing you learned from Pat.
Two pages is like intimidating. We counted on 1 page.
I did want to commend our staff. We had a preschool documentation review, which the New York State Education Department sent a representative to do a review of our Medicaid claims to ensure all the documentation was in place for our preschool program. They were unable to find one thing that was not present in those charts, which is huge, especially what we've been through in the past few years. So they were very impressed with our organization, and that was really our preschool staff and our billing department handling that. So I just want to commend them for a very good job. The next thing, I just want to make sure you were all aware, and maybe some of you are aware, Main Street Pediatrics in Cambridge is going to be closing as of May 25th. This is concerning. There are a lot of kids in that area that go to that pediatrician's office, and from what we're hearing, either parents haven't requested to have the records transferred to another place. So we're really unsure of how many kids are going to be without a pediatrician come at the end of May. We are willing to do clinics down there if we need to in order to get the kids that need vaccines to be able to start school in the fall. And, you know, we've been reaching out to Main Street Pediatrics just to kind of find out, you know, where they're at. They did put a letter on their website that they were going to be closing and where people could get their records after May 25th. But I want to make sure all of you were aware that that was happening, and we'll do what we can as far as getting kids their vaccines that they need in order to start school in the fall. So we'll be working with the school districts probably to find out who those kids are that are enrolling and need those vaccines. So just more of an FYI, that's happening.
Had they been in Cambridge for quite a few years?
Main Street Peds, yeah, it's Dr. Ruda, been there for a long, long time.
Retiring. Is that right?
Yeah,
It's Randall College Foundation or whatever.
I'm not sure. Not sure. Yeah.
And I'll reach out.
Okay. The next thing I have is a request. We have received a request from LEAP, as we do each year, to fund part of their community garden with plants. So we would like to request to spend up to $200 to supply plants for that garden. And that's covered under our lead poisoning prevention program at 100%.
Okay. Any questions? All in favor? All right.
And then the next item, again, you may be aware of this, but I wanted to make sure I brought it to your attention. By October 16th of 2024, each community water system in New York State is going to have to submit a lead service line inventory to the local health department. Ours will probably go through the district office in Glens Falls. I did send out an email probably about a year ago with what the requirements are. I do plan on sending out another email to the contacts that I have at the municipal water systems and all of you in the villages, the contact information that I have, just to make sure that they're aware of that. It is a huge project. It does include residents as well. Also have to be on that inventory. So, and that's whether you have lead service lines or not. They want an up-to-date inventory of what's out there as far as the material, and that is it's a federal requirement. So I do have a lot of information on it. There's a great question and answer document that I'll attach to the email when I send it out to you, but I just want to make sure that all of you were aware that it affects.
Tina, is there money attached to that to help the village? How's it that they're involved?
In the New York State budget this year, there is a proposal in the New York State budget that would amend the local finance law, and it would allow New York State to use federal bipartisan infrastructure law funding to replace the entire lead service line, including the resident part as well, the privately owned part. Again, the budget hasn't been passed yet, but it is something that is in the governor's budget at this point. I'm sure you've seen a lot on the news about different areas that are kind of going through this process right now of trying to get their lead service lines replaced. So I do have a lot of information. So if you need more information on it, reach out, but I will send it out through email as well. The next thing is our tobacco program, cessation program that we're working on we're in collaboration with Glens Falls Hospital on that. We do have our senior health educator and our one of our fellows that are working on that program. So they will be reaching out to different community-based organizations to promote the program and have a place for them to, these community-based organizations to refer people that would like to go through the tobacco station program. There is an MOU that I have to sign with Glens Falls Hospital, and I did have Roger take a look at that yesterday. And there's also going to be a press release going out, just so you're aware. And Glens Falls Hospital works with the North Country Nicotine Consultants, and that's who's going to be issuing the press release. But we are mentioned in there as working with the North Country Nicotine Consultants, which is actually working with Glens Falls Hospital. So it's kind of a roundabout way of saying it. But I just want to make sure, I don't know when that press release will be going out, but just so you do see it, that's there. And I do have, we're gearing up for fair. I know that seems like it's a long ways off, but we do like to order some things as giveaways for the fair. So, and I'm not sure if I have to bring this or not, but we're looking to do like table covers, and they're going to have the county logo on them. So do I need to get approval for that? Okay. They're the table covers that you would attach to the front of the table, almost like a table skirt. So we're looking to buy, looks like 2 of those, and they would have the county logo. No,
So they're not promotional.
no. So, okay.
And your budget?
Yes,
They're using
we'll be using
Right,
it.
the
Yeah.
the logo thing applies to promotional materials and giveaways.
Okay.
Things like that. Or if an outside agency that's not us wants to, you know, like, we're sponsoring something and somebody else wants to use it,
Okay.
they have to have our permission, but you're using it for your purposes and keeping it for yourself.
Okay. So we're good there. So,
Stay within budget.
yeah.
Right.
Okay. So I do have a list of giveaways as well, for the fair, and for other outreach activities that we do. We do the earplugs, for the fair, which are very popular. We also would like to do fans this year. They're the little handheld, fans. This is a reorder. We did the kids loved them. They're like these bungee rocket things that they can, use with their hands. Beach balls, and there's also bike safety booklets that we'd like to give away. They're for grades 3 through 5. And then the health educator had also requested bubbles for giveaways. So the total of that, of all of those items, comes to around $7,700. That doesn't include shipping and setup, but again, this stuff is all 100% covered under our Article 6 state aid. So just looking for permission to move forward with those items.
Daryl needs clarification. Bungee ride. He must.
We need to advertise the 2 county parks on the least. Not only would I like one, I'm thinking, how many siblings are gonna injure each other?
Oh,
On the same topic, we give away beach balls, but we don't allow them at Lauderdale. And then that table skirt, it's got the county logo in the middle, Sam's picture on one side, my picture.
Oh,
Just a dummy booth this one. That's a very good idea. We can do a fundraiser.
Okay. So. did we go?
No.
okay. And then, let's see. Mike, you're doing next?
I'm filling in for Mike. Sue's here.
Oh, okay. Hi, sorry, I didn't see you there. I'll wait. I have one more item, but I'll wait until you do your on your agenda item. So that's all I have.
Thank you very much, Dana. And thanks for your hard work. It says all like with a little short.
It's been longer. One final thing though, you grow that garden every year, is that correct?
Yes.
And you.
Well, Leap does it.
Leap does it.
Yes.
And it's in their budget?
Yeah, I would assume, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you ever been
Budget's
Route 4 where I love New York Pizza is? Just past that on the left-hand side, they have a community garden. They've got semi-raised beds in there.
Right.
by their storage building. Just mess Johnson.
Yeah, the only question I had was, why are we need to do that every year? That's something we wouldn't do.
You always want to see this stuff.
We, I mean, you're gonna, the plan is to plant show up. Plan is to plant that yard every year, correct?
Technically, if it's in her budget, she doesn't.
More than FYI.
Plant away.
It's
Expand. And then you'll do that during budget time. You'll tell us you need more money because you gotta buy more seats.
If you'll give me, remember that next year.
Thank you for doing the garden.
Thank you.
So Mike really only had two things on the agenda, and one is in collaboration potentially with public health to work on a Move Your Way Trails Day event that would take place on June 3rd, which is National Trails Day. And it's kind of a collaboration between public health, the Youth Bureau, a few other programs, and the Champlain Bike Alliance. And it really is just a family fun day that would start in Mullen Park, promote bike trails, the biking and the trail system, and then the Youth Bureau would be responsible for some fun activities. So it's just a permission to collaborate with public health to work on this event.
On the safety aspect, response to fallen bikers. Gotta have Band-Aids.
Go ahead, Tina.
I have one thing just related to that.
Yep.
We would like to promote it as a smoke-free event. So we did receive a smoke-free policy that I also did run by Roger. It came from Adirondack Health Institute. They would like us to sign this, that day would be a smoke-free policy for the event, just for that one day. And that for that part. So I just wanted to make sure you were all aware when it goes out and they advertise for this event, this will probably be attached to it as well. Promoting a smoke-free event.
So moved.
Yeah. Yes. You know, in favor?
Thank you. And then the next item would be, we were approached by Warren County Probation Department. I say we, DSS and the Youth Bureau was approached by Warren County Probation to become a mentee team under a grant that they had received called YRE Connect, which is a community of practice grant, which was from Cornell University for to work with youth with developmental disabilities from the Planning Council. That's where they received their money. So Warren County would like us to be a mentee team. As a mentee team, we could receive $8,500 to support youth with developmental disabilities to reintegrate into the community if they were in a long-term treatment facility for drugs and alcohol, or mental health facility, or foster care, or parole, or detention. So to be determined what we would potentially do with the $8,500. So it really is at the initial planning stages. If there was something that could be useful to utilize that $8,500. But Mike would like permission for us to work with Warren County and Cornell University. I think on the agenda it was Cornell Cooperative Extension. It really is Cornell University, in which we would receive the funding if we were to move forward. She would like permission. Thank you. Thank you.
How many people do you think that were involved?
So when we were thinking about it, like they leave it broad that we can also work with youth in the community that are in schools or work in foster care that's not transitioning, but with a focus, if there are those youth that are transitioning out of these placement type facilities, that we would focus on them, but we could serve other youth. So it's vague in a sense that we could cover a couple areas. We're going to reach out to parole because it is an area that we haven't really spent a lot of time, and I don't know how many youth age 18 to 21 are released from the prison system, and whether we could do some work with those transitioning youth. I don't know how many there are.
I didn't know if we're in single digits, double digits. or
I think we're in
hundreds.
single digits. I don't think there's an astronomical amount of youth that are in that, and we know that we really try very hard not to send youth to detention, so we kind of know about the detention piece of it. We do have youth that go to long-term treatment facilities, drugs or alcohol or even mental health, and we usually are involved with them anyway.
Yeah.
So it would really, some of the new youth would be those that would be released from prison that honestly we probably don't come in contact with. So, but it's a broad sense of who we can work with. And almost, it's developmental disabilities, which includes includes behavioral disabilities. There's that's a wide range of who we can target.
Now, is Washington County going to be involved in this too?
So is
Our
Washington,
probation?
as far as I know, no. I think Warren County Probation had initially received that grant under the Community of Practice. And then as part of that grant, they needed to reach out and try to expand and have different, because they also work with many agencies in Warren County. And then they reached out to us to see if we wanted to partner with us and become a mentee team.
So I was just wondering if it works out, though, will our county try the same thing too at some point?
Yeah, I'm not sure about that piece of it.
Now, did you have a question?
Rob, do you think that there's an opportunity through the OPWDD funds to maybe partner and maybe fill some of the gaps that might exist? Because that's not a ton of money, but
Right.
maybe there might be an opportunity through your funding to maybe make this a little needier than.
We're certainly open to that. I know Linda Wright from our office, our directors, and pretty involved with the YRE.
Okay.
Right, yes.
But I just sometimes want to make sure everybody's talking, because you never know what you can leverage to maybe get a little bigger buck.
Anything else?
That's it.
You may have the,
Just need to vote.
All right. Thank you, Sam.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so other different crowd, do you have some?
Yeah, so I just didn't have anything actionable on the agenda, but I wanted to, and just to provide an update, I had received an outreach a few weeks ago, kind of a unique request. Some of the supervisors were interested in maybe arranging for a tour, field trip type of thing to go around and see some of the sites, of the programs that we contract with, et cetera. So I just wanted to provide an update that I'm working on that. Cindy, or pull that up. I put together a Google map. Get it up on the screen there. There's kind of I took a lunch hour and drove around the sites, and of course, let me just describe a little bit. The red icons or pins or whatever you call them, those are our program sites. The purple I also put on there just because a lot of our service sites are concentrated in Hudson Falls, Glens Falls, Queensbury area. But to cover the counties, we are trying to get services out into the outlying areas. And one of the ways we're doing that is the school-based sites. Those are the purple icons. Sandy, I don't know if you can you zoom in a little bit or scroll? Does it allow you to go in? Maybe it won't, and that's fine. But what I thought is if we could go around those the program sites, there's kind of a natural route. If we start here and we head up Route 4 and then cut over into Warren County, come down Bay Road into Glens Falls, you can see some of the Queensbury, Glens Falls sites as well. And it took me about an hour to drive the sites. And we thought we would stop at a few of the agencies, so it probably would, be a kind of a 2.5, 3 hour, tour. We have an opportunity to meet with some of the program staff, just hear a little bit of overview of the program. I least this is what I'm thinking at this point. I don't know if this is sort of meeting the expectations of the request, but.
Yeah, Bob asked me, to, have Washington County supervisors get an understanding of what mental health services are that we have in Ward Washington. And I thought it was a great request, and so I put it through to Rob, and, you know, just talking about it. I know we did a tour through, Gina, through the Meals on Wheels, and then a tour of the jail. I think it was very informative for all of us to actually see what we're signing checks for and finding out how we serve our people. So, Rob, I know this was a lot of work, and I'm sorry I on the request, and you took your lunch hour to practice.
Different, right? It's kind of like a fun idea. So I'd be happy to arrange for it, and just several of our agencies that are eager, you know, excited also that, you know, there's a level of interest there to come around and see the program. So we'll put something together. We're probably targeting early June. It'll be a little bit of a trick, you know, coordinate everybody's schedule to work for it. And so one of the folks know we're working on it, and
Rob, can you tell us what the stars are? I know there was some clarification over to the side.
yeah, if you zoom in a little bit more, the purple ones are our outlying school-based sites. So those are in, what we have a provider in almost every district in the 2 counties.
There goes my.
I don't see the zoom.
So,
I think you gotta like scroll in or use the, I don't know if it's the Zoom feature.
And down there, lower left corner of the map.
Yeah, there you go. That plus and minus, the plus there with zooming in probably. Yeah. So the green icon is the municipal center here. And if you can zoom in a little bit more. You know, if it's gonna work the way it's laid out there, but you can see there's sort of like a natural route here. If we start here at the municipal center, head up Route 4, you can see some of these sites, cut over into Warren County, by the airport, come down Bay Road, and then down into Glens Falls. And you pretty much can see like, you know, 17, 20 different sites as a drive-by. If we had a van or something, again, we'd be limited to the number. And I could do more than one. I mean, we could do a morning session, afternoon session if there were too many, you know, if there was interest for that. Or we could pick 2 different dates and do one in June and do it later in the summer.
so, go ahead, Melissa.
I can send an email out to each of the supervisors and then they can respond if they're interested, and then we'll kind of get a count maybe.
Just a thought is maybe you could coordinate with veterans and see if they don't have people going into need the bus for that day. That would give you more seating, take more people.
Okay.
There's nobody in a wheelchair for it, yeah.
How many does that,
Yeah, the 2 new ones will be here by then, I'm sure.
how many would that bus hold?
It'll probably hold 12.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't, you know, I gotta admit, this is my fault. I was standing around with 4 or 5 supervisors after one of the meetings, and Rob had talked about, yeah, we're gonna send this one to here, we're gonna do this and that, and Hope House, and said, just what the hell is this, and this, and it's, I was something Rob does, I didn't have a clue. So I thought, well, you know, we're all the time voting on, you know, sending money and budgeting and stuff, and you know, kind of maybe know what some of the facilities are we're talking about. So that's kind of why I thought maybe I go around. I'm sure not every supervisor is gonna want to go, but I bet, you know, most of us want to actually talk about those things. So I would hope we'd have 9 or 10 that would.
I appreciate you bringing it up. I think it's important to have visuals.
I didn't want to make Rob desperately paranoid, thinking I would take some down either.
Like I said, it's kind of like something, you know, out of the box, a little different, so it's kind of like a fun project, so happy to do it, and this is a list here of some of the sites, and I don't know if you can scroll down that, yeah, if you grab that, keep going, these were some of the schools I added, and then thought of a few more sites to add, so yeah, we'll get it going.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you, Rob. I appreciate it. And do you have, I mean, it sounds like contact will go through Melissa. regarding going forward?
We've been,
You're doing it
yeah,
already.
discussing it a bit, but I will put an email out. We'll see who's interested and then I'll give you a count. Come up with a date.
Thank you. Okay. Any other business?
Have two things.
Yeah.
First, I'd like to thank Rob for all his effort on the peer-to-peer program to get that up and running. We're seeing the benefits of it. It's working well the way it's been structured. A lot of things you can see are happening with the program that hadn't been happening before. So thank you for heading that up, and we tapped you to monitor the RFPs for that. And I would like to thank the commissioner for giving up her allotted 45 minutes of time today. The team that they do, she needed to. Oh, we kidding, Commissioner.
I might take it next one. Make up for it. Thank you. Okay, Brian?
I just wanted to thank Gina for attending the meeting in Hebron last night on emergency preparedness. I mean, Office of the Aging, big part of being prepared in an emergency, and thanks for now, because it's a haul for you, I know, but we had a lot of people there last night doing the haul, so it was really nice, and a lot of information, a lot of things we didn't know that just, it has to be communicated, so.
And Brian, and thanks to the town of Hebron that they did this meeting. Because it was a really great discussion, and I think that, we learned a lot. So thank you for doing it.
You know, the one guy was at Westchester County last night after the meeting, so hopefully made it home.
But that's the plan, right? I mean,
Yeah.
anyways, any other questions? Okay, we're adjourned.